The game that looks good keeps looking even gooder. That is the official title of this segment. We got a new trailer at the Game Awards. We just didn't have time to look at it last time we were going through stuff. And I mean, it's only a minute 40 long, but as we've seen before, it just continues to look very impressive as they close in on polish and everything. You can see there's text at the bottom right, actual in-game and gameplay footage. So they're saying this is what it actually looks like. They're willing to commit to that. They're not saying in-engine. They're not saying anything like that. This is actual in-game. This is what it looks like when you play it. And you know, some people have commented on segments we've done about this game and been like, I don't know, man, it just looks too good to be true and all this. And I totally understand that feeling, because Pearl Abyss previously, they did Black Desert Online. Like, they've never done a big single player game like this, as far as I'm aware. This is big, ambitious, and crazy. I get the feeling, I get having the feeling that this is too good to be true. But much like the feelings about Black Myth Wukong, which was also kind of an unknown quantity before it came out, they have been pretty transparent. They've brought this to events like Gamescom. They've let thousands of people play it. Even our podcast co-host, Joe Raptor, who we should be doing an episode with here in the next couple of days, by the way, so the podcast will be back. He's even played it, I believe, he said. So the game has not been locked away. This isn't like one of those, what's the term for it? Like, those games that aren't really real. It's like vaporware. That's it. This isn't vaporware. Like, they've actually let people play it and see these sequences and try them. And that to me instills a lot of confidence that at the very least what we see is real. It's actually working in the game. It's not faked gameplay where everything's scripted, like a day before situation where none of that game was real. The question still remains, like, how does this end up being in practice? How deep are the systems? How high quality are the quests? That still remains, because with a lot of these types of projects, they can look really good in trailers that are really flashy and that showcase some really cool stuff. But when you actually sit down to play the game for 50 hours, it ends up being a lot of fetch quests. Maybe the exploration tends to be really bland. There's nothing really interesting in the world to find. Maybe the upgrades are really minimal or uninteresting. Things like that. Maybe the writing is really dry. That's where these games tend to start to fall apart or grow weak in certain spots. But that just remains to be seen. I mean, we just don't know yet, and we won't know until we actually get our hands on it, review it, or what have you. But I do want to say that, like, they've shown it, they've been clear with it, they let people try it. So this isn't just a total vaporware situation. There is a game here. The polishing is where we're at. But if it were up to me, like, my expectation, my predictions for where this is going to land, I think this ends up being pretty good. Probably landing similar to Black Myth Wukong in that, like, B to B minus, B plus, somewhere in there, but probably a B. I think the writing is probably pretty bad, because that's typically how these games tend to go. I'm guessing optimization wise, it probably doesn't run too great. That's my expectation as well. And I would expect that their history of MMO questing probably carries forward, and a lot of the questing feels like an MMO. I think a lot of it's going to be fetch quests. A lot of it's going to be go here, kill 10 of these goblin enemies, and then come back with their teeth and sell them to me so I can make a potion, and then I'll give you that quest 15 dozen times, and that's how it's going to be. For some people, that sounds great. So say we all says a single player MMO, let's go. Yeah, for some people, that's how it's going to be. I think that that's what it's going to turn out like. But I do think that the tropes and problems that tend to apply to MMOs and games from MMO studios probably carry over here. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad game. Like I said, I think it still gets a B, but I don't think that this is necessarily going to come out and be like Game of the Year winner, beating out GTA 6 or anything. But the rest of the trailer, they continue on. They have different things like mining systems, cooking systems. They have this is the other thing that's kind of bizarre. They have this like pseudo sci-fi element to it as well. They clearly took inspiration from the Sky Islands from from Tears of the Kingdom. And it's like, I get it. I get why they're doing it. It's this weird like Isu storyline, vaguely reminiscent of Assassin's Creed. I get it. It adds some variability, some dynamics to it. I just personally, I'm an Assassin's Creed old school fan. I've played those games since I was a kid, and I, even back then, didn't really like this stuff. I didn't really like the Isu weird futurism stuff. I just like the historical setting. And to have fantasy mixing in this weird, like, high lost technology stuff for me is just kind of like, I'm good. But I get that they're doing it to shake it up and add more stuff to it. But to me, it doesn't get me excited or anything. But like, this looks good. This I'm in for. Boss fights. Just casually flying mounted dragons. That's new. I'm down for that.
For those who have died.
What? Like, oh, wow. Okay. This is why people feel like maybe this is too good to be true, though, because people see this stuff and they're like, so I felt like it was too good to be true. And then you just casually drop footage of me flying a dragon. That's amazing. And then you go further and you show footage of me flying a dragon during like a raid on a castle. What? Like, what? It's outrageous. It's crazy.
For those who have died. For those who have...
Flying it around these sky islands again. Very cool. To be fair, this is probably a very late game thing, getting access to the dragons, I would imagine, but still super cool. Just when you think you've seen everything, they add something more.
survived. And for those...
A lot of NPCs on screen. You don't tend to see shots like this in many games with not just NPCs close to you, but NPCs far away from you. This is like big dick energy flexing right now, okay? Like, you don't typically see this kind of thing. Usually devs will have a big wall right here. They'll have big trees blocking all of them, like, because they just don't want to, they don't want to bother trying to simulate all this and have this many NPCs on screen. But this is part of the reason why, yeah, CPO go brrr. Yeah, exactly. This is part of the reason why I think that it probably doesn't run that great, because it seems like they are making no compromises to the game, which on the one hand is great because you get a pretty ambitious, crazy game. But on the other side, it means that they're probably not cutting a lot of stuff to make the game run a lot better. The other possibility is that this is just running on a souped up CPU and they have the toggle, like the slider for NPC population, and it's cranked out the ass in shots like this. But on console or on a normal PC, there'd be like 3 people over on the far side. That's the other possibility too. But at the very least, I appreciate that they're really pushing it and they give you the ability to push it if you have the hardware. But it kind of creates that debate for a lot of people where they see this trailer, they get excited by this, and then when the game comes out and somebody tries to play it on a normal human PC, they're like, it doesn't look anything like this. This is garbage. They downscaled it. They walked it back. When in reality, like, no, they just played it on a high-end PC. But still, there will be people that freak out about it. So it gives and takes. Maybe the easiest solution is back when they did the initial watermark on the bottom right saying it's actual in-game gameplay and cinematics. Maybe there you also just say running on a high-end PC. Maybe even say like running on a 4090 and an i9 or a AMD, whatever, Ryzen, I don't remember what I have in here, 7950X, is that a thing? I don't know, whatever it is. Just say what the PC is, maybe. That way nobody can complain. Maybe that's the solution.
Who will live on. This is...
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is how I know it's real footage, though. Did you see what I saw? Did you see what I saw? Once more, I see some evidence of upscalers being used pretty heavily. If you look at his face, enhance, watch his brow. So as he's moving, there's a ghosting that's happening where a little bit of his head remains. So you can see his brow is there. I can put the mouse pointer right where his brow is. And then he moves away, but the brow outline still remains. You see that little ghosty line? And then it follows with him. It's very small. If you're looking for it, you spot it. But it's basically just a ghosting effect that happens with some upscalers. Yeah. Oh no, unplayable. Yeah. To be clear, it doesn't mean the game's unplayable. It just tells me that they are relying on upscalers to hit this frame rate and resolution. What just happened? It's trying to force me to watch Intergalactic trailers again. How dare you? How dare you? It's not going to work. We watched it already. No more Intergalactic. But to be clear, the reason I'm pointing this out is because if they're using that in trailers to hit 60 frames and to hit the resolution targets, yeah, they're doing 4K 60 in the original footage. So like for them to be able to do that, they're using upscalers that have ghosting and stuff. Could be nothing. Could be polished up a lot because they say late 2025 is when it's coming. So it could be polished up a lot. Hopefully it is. But it just tells me that if they're relying on upscalers now, it's currently not running that great. Because the ideal is that you get the game running well without any upscalers, and upscalers allow you to hit even better frame targets. That's what I think most people expect when they see upscalers being used, is that it's going to enhance their time with the game. It's not going to make it, the bare minimum. And to their credit, like with Kingdom Come Deliverance, Sir Toby clarified this because Indiana Jones didn't do this. Indiana Jones spec stat sheet required DLSS to be enabled to hit the frame rate targets with the hardware they recommended. But here you can see Sir Toby clarifies maybe an important update or important note. The PC specs are listed without any upscaling in mind. Upscaling will, of course, boost FPS if necessary, even on weaker hardware. So all of these are based on performance without upscalers, and if you use upscalers, it'll run even better than what they're recommending, which is 1440p at 60 or 4K 30, 1440p at 60, which I think is the way to do it. But with this, if they're using upscalers just to hit the bare minimum of the trailer resolution and frame rate targets, it's just something to pay attention to because it furthers that idea that maybe resolution and frame rates are going to be a difficulty for this.
He took my thing.